Well, I am just overjoyed to welcome each one of you here today. And if I could just remind anybody who has a cell phone, if they want to silence it. I only say this because I spoke at a meeting previous to this and my cell phone went off, so. Tony and I have a history that goes way back, because I was senior vice president at St. John's University, and I was on the search committee for the provost. And I interviewed Tony for the job of provost at St. John's University. And we had a formal meeting, and then we went out to eat at a Chinese restaurant. And it was my first of many times realizing what a picky eater Tony Bonaparte was. And what an unbelievable, fascinating gentleman Tony was. When I asked Tony, why do you want to come to St. John's University? He said, it's my time to come back and give back to this wonderful university that did so much for him. And that was my experience at St. John's too. And then I had another call, and the call was to come to St. Thomas Aquinas College. And I was just thrilled. What an honor to be a college president. But the hardest part about changing a job, it's really not the work. It's about missing the people. And so I had a whole family of people that I was going to miss, including board members that I've become so close to, and colleagues like Tony. And Tony said to me, you don't have to worry about missing me, Margaret. We're friends, and I'm going to help you be a successful president at St. Thomas Aquinas College. So one of the first things that I learned about being a president is the importance of who's on your board of trustees. And so who did I reach out to as I became president? And I said, Tony, do you remember that you said you were going to help me be a successful president? I think he was shaking his head when he went home to Sueli. She had to remember, okay? All right. And so Tony came on St. Thomas Aquinas' Board of Trustees. Tony was invaluable. Why? First of all, he was an academic vice president. So on your board, as you know, you have many people from the business world who are extraordinarily helpful in so many ways. But you do also need people who know your business. And Tony knew the business of higher education. At the same time, it's so wonderful to have a board member who's a personal friend. And that's what Tony and Sueli have been to me, personal friends, ever since back to the St. John's days. And I can't thank you enough, Sueli, for continuing to be an important part of my life and being one of my friends.
Thank you.
Okay? And I think that that's one of the things that we learned today, how relationships are so important. That, you know, work will get done, missions will continue, but why do they continue? I think because of relationship building. You surround yourself with the best people possible, and then you let the relationships work. And that's what Tony did for me. So Tony came on the board. As many of you know, Tony was very quiet. But he was like the commercial. We're old enough in this room, except for maybe Angel. Okay, we're old enough to know the E.F. Hutton commercials. You know, when they speak, you listen. That was Tony. Okay, so when Tony would speak at a board meeting, there was a hush because everybody kind of leaned forward. What was Tony going to say? Because we knew it was going to be important. And that's how it was. Tony was involved with the total life of St. Thomas Aquinas College, all right? So you're going to be hearing from Dr. Durney how he used his culinary talents to help the college. Tony was there at all of our fundraisers, okay? Sueli became an integral part of St. Thomas Aquinas College. She is holds an honorary degree from the college, and so now we refer to Sueli as Dr. Sueli Bonaparte. And so there were two Dr. Bonapartes in that family. And We honored Tony and Sueli with the Aquinas Medal, and that's the highest honor that we can give someone outside of an honorary degree at this college because they meant so much to us. Other ways that Tony helped us was taking Antonini, who was the assistant to the president and vice president, on a trip to Brazil. Because one of the things that's important to us was the internationalization of St. Thomas Aquinas College. And so we went to Brazil and we signed 4 or 5 strategic partnerships with pontifical institutions of learning in Brazil. And while we were there, we were treated to a non-stop, may I say, Sueli? Non-stop. If you've ever planned a trip with Tony, cut down half of the agenda, okay? Because we were exhausted after each day, okay? And at lunch, I'm going to ask Ann to tell us at lunchtime about our trip to the beaches in Brazil. Our trip, yes. Okay, yes. Okay. And so that's another wonderful Tony story, but it's over lunch story. Yeah, exactly. Okay. How else did Dr. Tony Bonaparte help us? He collaborated with us, and we have some of our best collaborations with St. John's University, so it was the start of it. He collaborated with us having guaranteed seats in St. John's Law School. We have guaranteed seats in a lot of the master's and doctoral programs. And going along with that, this past year we signed a strategic alliance with their master's program in sport management at their master's and our undergraduate level. So Tony's legacy lives on in us still with those relationships with St. John's. Tony also brought St. John's Study Abroad program to St. Thomas Aquinas College. So now we have students every semester or every year that are going to wonderful places in the world with St. John's students, and that's been such a benefit to our students. Tony kept on being promoted on the board to vice chair of the board, okay? And would have been chair, but he was too shy. Our Tony, right? Okay. And he said, no, Margaret, I'll vice chair, okay? So he was vice chair of the board, which for those, most of you who know, that's a real leadership on the Board of Trustees. So you work very closely with the officers of the board to bring about the mission of the college. And so Tony became a real leader for St. Thomas Aquinas College. And after Tony served for 12 years, which was great, he had a welcome party from us, and then soon after that moved to Tampa with Sueli. So most of all, I can say what I think everybody can say in this room. Tony was a friend. And when it comes down to it, don't you have to count on your friends? Okay. And so today it's my honor to welcome you to the dedication of the Dr. Tony Bonaparte classroom that's going to be at the forefront of our innovation efforts here at the college. So my welcome to all of you. And because we're a place of faith, we now ask Sister Marianne Sumer to come up and to lead us in prayer.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we ask your blessing on all who have gathered here today for this ceremony. As we dedicate this classroom, we entrust our students and all who will use this facility to your loving care. We pray they will grow in mind, body, and spirit so that they may be the best they can be in all their undertakings. Look favorably upon all who worked on this project, that they may continue to give life to the visions of others. We especially recall our late friend, Dr. Tony Bonaparte, in whose memory this room is dedicated. Look favorably upon him as we remember his generosity and commitment to our college. We also ask your blessings today on his wife, Sueli, without whom this dream would not be a reality. We thank you for her friendship and her concern for our students now and in the future. We offer this prayer of thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen.
It's now my pleasure to introduce to you the chair of the board, who was a colleague with Tony Bonaparte, Mr. Donald Riley.
Well, good morning, everyone, and I'm a little humbled to be speaking at this dedication. All that Tony and his family have done for this college over the many years and for many other institutions around the world is something that we can all emulate and sort of attempt to duplicate. But as chairman of the board, I want to, Board of Trustees, I want to ensure that we follow the mission of the college and work with our friends in the communities in which we operate in everything that we do. And so, as we think about Tony and his family, they wear our missions on their sleeves, and have clearly demonstrated that over their many years of contributions. So today we are here to dedicate our first Innovation Center classroom. It is part of our innovation initiative that has been started over the last couple of years. It's fitting, based on the guidance that Tony and others imparted on Margaret over the years with her as president, that we are where we are today. And I think Tony and hopefully his family and friends would be very pleased and proud of the accomplishments, not only of Tony and his family, but the accomplishments of STAC in dedicating this new classroom. And not only that, but the direction that we're heading in. And as you think about the changes that have occurred at St. Thomas Aquinas over the last 3 or 4 years, the changing of the way we look at our curriculums, the changing of the way we manage our leadership, it is all about the future, it is all about innovation, it is all about technology, but it's really all about people.
Right.
And so the St. Thomas Aquinas motto is enlighten minds through trust. And I don't think of anyone that I've met here at the college or in my other engagements that epitomizes that as much as Tony and his family. And so I leave you with not only thanks for all you have done, starting with your scholarships back in 1999 to today, for what you have done for the college and the lasting effect that Tony and Sueli, you have had on us. So thank you, congratulations, and let's get started.
That's great. One of my colleagues and very good friends here at the college, who was the Vice President for Academics and the Provost for many years, is Dr. John Durney. And John worked very closely with Tony because of their being colleagues in education. And so, John is going to lead us in a dedication.
Thanks, Margaret. Dr. Bonaparte, as many of you know, was a great chef. He loved to cook. In fact, Tony and I collaborated some years ago on a 7-course meal that we prepared for a group of distinguished guests. I can talk a little bit more about that perhaps over lunch. Tony made one of his famous chicken recipes, but he got things off to a great start by also making a big batch of caprianas. Caprinas. I knew I practiced that all. I knew I wouldn't get that right. Caprinas. If you don't know what they are, it's a drink, a native Brazilian drink, made with pisco or rum or a variety of other ingredients. In any event, when he prepared a batch of those, the rest of the evening was smooth as silk. Made our jobs a lot easier that day. Now, if this were a kitchen we were dedicating today, it'd be perfectly apropos. But it's not a kitchen. This is the other milieu that Tony so enjoyed and was so comfortable in, the classroom. Dr. Bonaparte had a quiet elegance about him, as we've already heard, not to mention the fact that he was the best dressed provost that I've ever met. And he had a calming influence on those who sought his counsel, those who shared his academic visions, and those who enjoyed his teaching. His life's work involved exploring environmental influences on business, serving national higher education in a variety of capacities, working with charitable and community organizations with Sueli, and fostering, most importantly, fostering academic success. That's what Tony loved most, seeing his students succeed. Yes, he served on more than 30 different Middle States accreditation teams, and yes, he was dean or provost at 5 different institutions, including St. John's University, where he finished his distinguished career as provost emeritus. Yes, he was an integral member of our St. Thomas Board of Trustees for many years, including chairing the Academic Affairs Committee, as Margaret's alluded to. But his true love was watching his students learn, watching them achieve. And what better testament to that basic part of his fabric than this beautiful classroom? He can watch his students achieve. There were many occasions after I became provost here at STAC, as did Margaret after she became president, that I would seek Tony's advice on some thorny issue. And he'd quietly offer some counsel, put my mind at ease, and bolster my spirits. And then he'd ask about our students. That was always his central concern, his mantra. Were the students learning? Were they achieving their educational goals? I had to have answers for him, because otherwise he pulled me up short. I found an interesting quote from one of his former students, who he met in Liberia when he was there as a Fulbright scholar. This gentleman said, "Dr. Bonaparte instilled in me the value of scholarship and saw to it that I got the education necessary to become a scholar. His best advice to me, education is the greatest equalizer known to mankind." That former student is now a professor of business and chair of the business department right here at Rockland Community College. So it is today most fitting indeed that we dedicate this wonderful new classroom to a man who shared his many gifts and tireless enthusiasm for learning with thousands of students. No one would relish more watching students in this classroom actively engaged in learning. It is with great pleasure then, and a tremendous amount of pride and humble thanks that, and with warm reflections on Tony's many contributions to St. Thomas Aquinas College, that we dedicate the Dr. Tony Bonaparte classroom at St. Thomas Aquinas College to his memory.
Wow, that's all we could say, and that was our Tony. Now it's my pleasure to invite up the current academic vice president, professor, and provost, and Dr. Robert Murray. And Bob is going to tell us about how we're going to transform this whole area with the foundation of the Bonaparte classroom. Dr. Murray.
I find myself following John all the time now. Thank you, and I have a couple of comments I wanted to make, and I'm realizing as I'm reading them that a measure of the man is that everyone who came in, I never met him. I met him once or twice. I can't claim that I knew him, but everyone who came in touch with him really sort of got what he was about, because there's so much overlap in what we're going to say. I'm a new provost. I just started in July, on July 1st, and so when the president asked me to to speak for a couple of minutes at this occasion, I do what I've done for my career: research. I look at who was Tony Bonaparte, who was he as a man, what did he stand for, and I was of course drawn to the fact that he was a provost. And so I just have a couple of quick comments, and then I want to talk about this room and this space. Because he had been a provost for so many years, Dr. Bonaparte surely knew that the most important hidden asset of a college or a university is its capacity to embrace and enact change. In fact, under his leadership, and this kind of blew me away when I read it, St. John's created 33 new degree and certificate programs and hired 237 tenure-track faculty in 6 years. That's a staggering amount of work. One search is a staggering amount of work. 237 in 6 years. I can fully understand that now as a new provost, that an amazing pace of change that he led St. John's through. In addition, I found he was dedicated to diversity, not only of a student population, but the diversity of different methodologies. Therefore, it's fitting that this classroom, and this is echoing what Dr. Gurney just said, is named in his memory and in his honor of the many generous contributions he and his wife made to this college. It's fitting because this classroom really is the groundbreaking first step in our transformation of this whole space into what will be eventually a learning resource center and a technological innovation center. This kind of innovative change will go beyond this room. It already has on the first floor, on the upper level of the library. I welcome you to see, if you haven't, our new Bloomberg Professional Laboratory. I did not get to know Dr. Bonaparte very well, just a few meetings at the board meetings, but I know that these new approaches and these facilities would have pleased him, because as Dr. Gurney can surely attest, nobody understands a provost like another provost. And I'm sure that nothing, and I'm a newbie, but I got that. And I'm sure that we can do nothing better in Dr. Bonaparte's memory than continue to look forward. So we always give our students the one item that I'm confident, even though I didn't know him, I'm confident was at the top of his list: the best education that they can get for every student who walks across the threshold of the college. So on behalf of the academic team of St. Thomas Aquinas College, I extend my thanks to you, Dr. Bonaparte, for your continued generosity and support of our mission. Just a few words about the room, and I know that Joe Danini's here, so if I misspeak. The amazing facility here contains 3 screens. This is actually an interactive projector, which I am still trying to get over. We actually have a couple of these already. This is very cool in that I'm an English professor. So if you're in my class and you wrote a paper, I'm sure it would be excellent, and I project it up here, and I have markers that can show you what you've done. I can actually save what I write on here, even though I'm only writing it on light and shadow. I can actually save it to this. So I can give you a copy of the comments I made on your paper. So that's a sort of interactive technology that is it's the hallmark of the change that we're talking about. These 2 screens back here have different images. One of those images is coming from an iPad that Joe Danini's got, and the other image is coming from a laptop in front of Dr. Burns and by Professor Murphy. So it's all students have. I have the app on my phone. All I have to do is turn on that, open the app, and whatever's on my phone, I can project on the screen. I can project that through this. I can project that on all 3 screens, or I can project 3 different images, one on each screen. So if we're working on 3 different data sets in a business class, 1, 2, 3, I could rearrange the furniture in the room so that I got a cluster back there working on that, cluster back there in the middle working on that, and a group of students up here working on this. So that's why these desks have this sort of triangular shape, because actually you can see there's a circle. Dr. DeWitt isn't here, but she's our mathematician, and she can tell us how many shapes we have these things. But they're sort of like Lego in a way. You put pieces together. And that's the appeal of this sort of collaborative environment. You can work independently. Up here, I can actually have a group, while you guys are working, I can have a group back there working in a circle. So that's the flexibility of this, of the furniture, as well as the flexibility of the technology, makes this room useful for every faculty member here. In fact, I think we have 19 classes. Is Mrs. Alexiou here? We have 19 classes in here now. And I believe the registrar told me there's a line of people already asking for the spring, that she's got a list of people who want this room for the spring. So, and it's because of these sort of facilities. So it's really a great reflection. All of the comments I've heard about Dr. Bonaparte really fit what this room is doing. It's that next step we're taking. Speaking of next steps, these shelves up here are filled with books. Some of the students, Javier, no offense, Angel, no offense, students really are trying to figure out what to do with those books anymore. They don't really, when I went to college, I looked up books in a card catalog. Now it's all the phone. Most of the knowledge we keep is now digitized. So after working with Virginia Dunnigan, who is, I saw her earlier, she's in the back, Ginny, say hello. She's the acting interim director of the library. She and I have hatched a plan to eliminate all of these books here right? So to open this space up, and the books over there, we're removing, they actually call it weeding, and we're removing books that no one has used, books that are no longer current in whatever field. The faculty are doing that now. In fact, they cleaned up because I was down here yesterday. There's stacks of books all over the place. And all of those books are actually being donated to Better World Books, which is an organization that provides books to third world countries that can't afford to buy books, universities and colleges and schools. So we're not throwing them out. They're actually going to have another life somewhere else where they can be used. With this space over behind this classroom, we're going to have what we're calling the Innovation Center. In there, as the president alluded to earlier, we're going to have, I think, 3 3D printers. We're going to have our computer science faculty are going to be doing some work with robotics in there. We'll have a space for students, which is where they can just sort of relax on comfortable furniture and think. They call that an ideation space. We'll have other kinds of facilities in there, lots of wireless access, so students can just go down there and work on projects at the request of their faculty. That will also have a look similar to this. We'll have a nice glass wall around that. This space up here will be a learning resource center, which is going to be our tutoring and workshops for students as they need assistance with whatever subject they're taking, but they can also have some research assistance, and we're going to outfit that in an innovative way as well. Lots of furniture, lots of comfortable furniture, different kinds of, there's all sorts of new furniture available for these things, and Marianne Suma has catalog on catalog and catalog. So that's going to look great, and upstairs, and then the entrance out there, this is really because this is such a special place, we're going to give it a special entrance. The entrance some of you came in, which is actually now a fire entrance, will be redesigned into a nice sort of safe glass opening so that people coming up the main hall, as Joe has said, this is sort of a crossroads place out there. We have admissions there, we have an entrance by pathways, and we have the entrance on this side, and now all of that will meet sort of in front of this. And this classroom really is the place where that idea was born. When I first started seeing this classroom work, I realized that gave this whole space a different definition for me. So this really is the first stop in all of the changes we're going to make in this level, and then the changes, of course, are going to be in other places. So it's really the first domino for all of the work we're doing, and we are so grateful for you and for Dr. Bonaparte's work for the college over the years. So thank you very much.
That's great. So now I welcome Dr. Bonaparte, Sueli, to say a few words. Oh, Javier first.
Javier.
Sorry. Even more important than Dr. Bonaparte.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Is for me to introduce one of our students, Javier Laguna, who is a recipient of the Bonaparte Scholarship. And so, Javier, would you come up?
Well, hello everyone, good morning. I am Javier Muñoz Laguna. I am very, very honored to be here today at the dedication of Dr. Tony Bonaparte classroom. As a child growing up in Seville, Spain, I had never heard of St. Thomas Aquinas College or the suburban hamlet of Sparkill, New York. So when as a high school senior I was recruited to play tennis for STAC, I had no connections to the country and college I will call home for the next 4 years of my life. In a short period of time, I started connecting to the college, students, faculty members in ways that I had never anticipated. I really found my place at STAC. The international students are really taken care of in terms of getting us involved, of course, and making sure that we are support academically, which is very important. And today, I am a junior biology student holding a 3.71 GPA. I serve as a secretary for the STAC Science Club, and as well as a captain for the Division II tennis team here on campus, as well as a student leader. Upon graduation, I plan to attend chiropractic school and one day, of course, open my own practice. The financial support I have received through a scholarship is helping me realize my career goals. And as a Tony and Sueli Bonaparte scholarship recipient, I'm able to keep dreaming about a future full of opportunities, like holding a prestigious degree from a competent institution like St. Thomas Aquinas College. Today, I can just feel grateful for still being part of this enriching community of people. Dr. Bonaparte, I personally thank you, and on behalf of all St. Thomas Aquinas College students who have been recipients of your scholarship fund, thank you very much for making our education possible. The memory of your husband, Dr. Tony Bonaparte, lives on throughout his generosity and passion for learning. Thank you very much.
You know Tony's beaming in heaven, I mean. Thank you. Boy, that was just wonderful. Sueli?
Well, it's going to be very tough for all of you. You did a remarkable presentation.
I'm very grateful.
Okay? And just for you to know, as you said, Tony must be beaming in heaven, so proud to be part of the community, to be part of the legacy, what he has built here. And Javier, he would have loved to play tennis with you. He was a great tennis player.
Yes.
Yes, and Tom Andrews here, who used to play tennis with him as well. So just for you to know, you have a lot of common with Tony. He would be very proud of you, especially with your wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. Sister Margaret, your heartfelt and touching comments on Tony, I'm sure that made many people who are here for the first time to know a little bit about this fantastic human being that I was honored to be with as his wife for 30 years. I was the lucky one. I was, because after all these remarks and presentations, I had the privilege and honor to share 30 years of my life with this fantastic human being that you all shared your comments with everybody. So I appreciate your comments. Don Riley, Chairman of the Board, thank you so much for being with us this morning. I know how hard it is to be on a Friday afternoon of a long weekend, being here, so I thank you all for being here. Other board members, STAC administrators, friends, and members of the family who made the time to be with us here today. So I appreciate that very much. And just for you to know, Tony's here with us,
Yes.
right here, at this moment. And he is very proud to be part of the community, so grateful for the love and the attention that he still gets from all of you. So I have to thank you for making his legacy be alive and his spirit continue in this classroom, on campus, and continue to do what he did for a lot of people in this classroom. As you know, teaching and helping other people was the center of his life. He was happy knowing that somebody was learning something, that somebody was making a contribution to the community. So this dedication, the classroom dedication in honor of Tony, is a fitting honor. And he's very proud of this special tribute and to keep his legacy alive.
Great.
So thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you for the love that I keep receiving from all of you, and that has been strengthening me to go on with my life without his physical presence. But I have him aside of me every single day, as he is right now with all of us.
Right.
So thank you so much, and God bless you all. Thank you.
So before I ask Sueli to come up and do the official ribbon cutting, okay, and the unveiling of a photo, I just want to invite you all to come to lunch. It's going to be over in the Commons across the street, the McNeilis Commons private dining room. And Linda, you can raise your hand. You can follow her if you don't know how to get over there in your cars. We encourage you to bring your cars. It's from this side of the street to the other side of the street. And that we can share companionship together and tell more stories about Tony, right?
Yes.
So Sueli, if you would do us the honor.
Yes.
We want to make sure the scissor is big enough.
So what we have to do just together?
Just look up once to me. Perfect. Go ahead, come away.
Oh, that's great. That's beautiful.
So this is a lasting reminder for us of our Dr. Tony Bonaparte. Classroom dedication, October 9th, 2015. We thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Sueli.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. It's beautiful.
So please, if you can, join us for lunch. You're most welcome to come over to the Commons private dining room. Thank you for those who can't stay, for being here and celebrating our Tony. It's great.